Hey everyone, and welcome to today's July 2nd, 2026 Explainer. We've got a truly fascinating journey ahead of us today, tracing the global ripples of some of the most vital headlines hitting the wire. We're going to go from the macro to the micro, looking at how high-stakes international conflicts and monumental scientific breakthroughs eventually trickle all the way down to, well, your grocery bill. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, Middle East security shifts. Second, breakthroughs in science. Third, global trade and alliances. Fourth, U.S. immigration and borders. And finally, number 5, consumers, economy, and sports.
Starting off with Section 1, Middle East security shifts between diplomacy and warfare. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how clearly it maps out 3 distinct, simultaneous fronts of tension shaping the region today. The geopolitical landscape is quite literally balancing on a razor's edge. Up in the Strait of Hormuz, Iran's top military command is actually forcing commercial ships to use its own traffic scheme, issuing some stark warnings against U.S. interference. Meanwhile, over in Iraqi Kurdistan, Iran's Revolutionary Guard forces are launching coordinated drone and missile salvos right at Kurdish militia bases near Erbil and Sulaymaniyah. And then, down on the Lebanon border, we're seeing this deeply complex dynamic, a push for a historic diplomatic framework happening at the exact same time as intense subterranean combat. We're looking at a pretty stark contrast here, especially as Israel marks exactly 1,000 days since the October 7th attacks. On one side, you have groundbreaking diplomatic progress. It's a U.S.-mediated framework linking a gradual withdrawal from southern Lebanon to the formal deployment of Lebanese armed forces, along with Hezbollah's verified disarmament. But on the ground, the reality is active high-tech warfare. The Israeli military is neutralizing operatives emerging from massive subterranean bases in the Nabatea Governorate, and they're using newly boosted AI-powered radar systems to detect hostile first-person view drones. It's a real split-screen moment.
But even with these physical clashes occurring across multiple borders, closed-door diplomacy is actively at play. U.S. and Iranian delegations are currently holding high-level technical talks in Doha, mediated by Qatar. Their stated goal here is to try and save the fragile bilateral memorandum of understanding and ultimately restore maritime shipping safety in those contested waterways.
Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds. Breakthroughs in science, synthetic life to quantum leaps.
We're starting this section with a very serious, stark warning from the United Nations regarding the tools shaping our future. A preliminary advisory report just issued this grave statement to member nations, warning that unregulated artificial intelligence could pose severe, catastrophic global risks unless comprehensive regulatory frameworks are established swiftly. The sheer, unchecked growth of AI is forcing international bodies to urgently sound the alarm on global safety.
But hey, the science news isn't all warnings. Some of it is just purely awe-inspiring. Get ready to meet Spud Cell. Researchers at the University of Minnesota have achieved a landmark biotechnology breakthrough. They've created the world's first synthetic cell that can actually copy its own DNA and divide, using entirely non-living chemical components. No way, right? It's a breathtaking milestone that fundamentally redefines our understanding of synthetic life. And the monumental leaps just keep coming in the computing world, where Microsoft is on a rapid, highly targeted trajectory. Today, they unveiled their latest quantum processor, the Majorana 2 chip. They are racing toward a massive goal, building commercially scalable, fault-tolerant quantum computers by the year 2029. They are clearly aiming to absolutely dominate the next generation of computing. Moving right along to Section 3, Global Trade and Alliances, Securing Supply Lines. So while tech giants are busy building our quantum futures, nations have to actually secure the physical supply chains and alliances to support them, right? A key part of that strategic puzzle is happening right now in South Asia. Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takehachi has arrived in India for a high-profile 3-day official visit. She'll be holding a bilateral summit with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, focusing intensely on military cooperation, maritime security, and regional stability. This is a major move aimed at significantly enhancing Indo-Pacific strategic partnerships.
So, the crucial point here is emphasized by this absolutely massive number, $13.21 billion. That is the Domestic Tech Manufacturing Initiative known as Semiconductor Mission 2.0 that the Indian government just authorized. The goal? To aggressively expand local chip fabrication plants and secure those critical supply lines against the kind of global tech bottlenecks that can just completely cripple modern economies.
Meanwhile, back over in North America, we're seeing some serious friction over existing trade frameworks. The Trump administration has decided not to renew the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA, and this has sparked significant domestic backlash. Minnesota Congresswoman Angie Craig and several House agricultural leaders have strongly criticized the administration's move. They're issuing severe warnings that this refusal could deeply isolate North American agricultural supply lines.
Next up, Section 4, U.S. Immigration and Borders, Enforcements and Policies.
Bringing our focus strictly to the United States home front, immigration enforcement has reached a boiling point. In a massive recent sweep known as Operation Metro Search, internal data reveals that following a major Supreme Court decision, ICE agents arrested over 10,000 individuals in just a single 5-day window.
In tandem with this surge in enforcement, policy advisors at the White House are actively reviewing new travel rules. Following some recent policy hurdles in federal courts, they are praising all administrative avenues to restrict pregnant foreign nationals from entering the country. Their stated goal with this ongoing policy review is to curtail what they describe as birthright citizenship loopholes.
Finally, let's head into Section 5, Consumers, Economy, and Sports, the Everyday Impact.
We've talked a lot about global supply chains, tech bottlenecks, macro policies, and trade agreements. But the most direct question we can ask, bringing it all down to the micro level, is this: how is all of this global friction actually impacting the checkout line for you and me?
Well, to see the carpet response to that struggle, look no further than General Mills. And this brilliantly illustrates how consumer staple conglomerates are responding right now. They've just announced sweeping price cuts across hundreds of items. It's a direct reflection of broader grocery inflation as these companies try to fight off consumer budget fatigue and entice shoppers who have understandably been actively tightening their household spending.
Now, let's step off the world stage of politics and economics and onto the grass courts of London for a quick moment of athletic history. Defending champion Yannick Sinner has powered past Nuno Borges in straight sets, advancing to the Wimbledon third round. And in doing so, he has set a historic, absolutely incredible record for the most Grand Slam match wins by an Italian tennis player.
From the subterranean battles of the Middle East to the creation of synthetic life in a lab, and all the way down to the cost of your morning cereal, everything is so deeply connected. So as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought and question. How will fast-moving tech and shifting borders shape the rest of 2026? These ripples are in motion, and they will undoubtedly affect our shared future. Thanks so much for joining me today to make sense of it all. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.